Today, I wanted to include the chest expansion with the ball. So whether you want to bounce or you want to just focus on one part of it, like your bounce can be really small. I tend to get myself going here. But when we do chest expansion from a standing position, if we're not really mindful of keeping the hips still and the glutes and abs drawn in, then as the arms open up, the body will tend to kip the hips forward. On the ball, that position will be more noticeable to you. So I've now lowered the angle of the arm, right? And at about the 3/4 position of open is when I'm mindfully going depress shoulders, retract scapulas, while my thumbs are turned back and my palms truly are up. So stop, bring your arms to this position for a second, and I want you to look at your hand and then look back at the screen. When I'm with people and I give them this open arm position, often the hand will be turned like this, which is that halfway zone of not articulating enough. It's called supination. So that part from the elbow to the wrist, right, is a little bit more you have to control. So try to get the full floating back effect. Take your arms, take the hinge out of your elbow to length, draw the shoulders down, and your goal is to try to turn your thumbs back as if you were trying to touch a wall behind you, with the hand being palm truly opened. Now, reset the ball bounce. Now that you know that there's so much going on versus you just swinging your arms, right? We have to get the components, and as if that's not enough, right? Can you take your ball bounce out and go to your marching feet? I want your arms to work at a low enough angle. If you can control high horizontal plane arms and you don't have any discomfort in your shoulders, then this is a better position for the feeling of a stretch all the way up the forearm, all right? But if your shoulder is crabby, then find the angle that allows you to move without pain, right? Here we go. So the term muscle confusion, right? Like that gets kind of a bad rap, right? Because are we really confusing the muscles? It's more about often if we give the body compound movement, you will have to focus more than just in one range of motion, right? So now release the arms, okay? You're going to take your legs, give me a little kicky kick, push. And instead of pushing the heel out, we're going to let the extensors relax. So we're not going to go into flex mode. I want you to take the foot in long length pointed toe and extend, right? The arms, if you can. I want you to push the shoulders down. The front view of this leaves a lot to be desired because it makes it hard for you to see that I'm getting ready to go into rounded spine. Pause to get my arms around me, and then I'm going to clean up the spine, interlace fingers, and just hold the arms. And now I'm going to turn. I'm going to hold the arms at the extended position. Wow. If you're able to get your shoulder blades, right, lifted, rolled back, and then reset into pinch mode, your thumbs will rest on your ball. And that puts you in what might feel like excessive S, but you're going to draw your abs in just a little bit. So the massive amount of stretch, maybe in the front of your shoulders, right? So here we go. Taking your toe point, isn't it bizarre putting your arms behind you, how different your stability feels? Because believe it or not, when your arms are out here, the guide of you using your arms to help regulate your balance is different than if you're here and everything is drawn into the center. So don't feel like you have to be spot on without any little squiggles, right? And if you can't get your foot all the way off the floor, lift the heel. The more important part is for you to feel like you're taking your body and lengthening the arms. The neck is long, right? So here we go. 5 more. 5, 4, 3, 2, release, relax. All right. A little bit of our circles. We're going to be getting out of the seated position in a moment. All right. Stir the big pot. Bring it around. Push the arms the direction the hips are going. Lean the shoulders back as the arms come through the front of the circle, because now you're fully engaged abs. Push the hips and the arms. Pull it in. Push. You are now exaggerating your upper body moving away from the legs, right? The upper body moves away from the legs, which gets harder. Pull the arms and the hips to one direction. Bring it through the center. This is what we used to do. If you want to stay here in very low mode, right? Just controlled, it's gentle, you stay here. But if you want to feel your body push the boundaries, right? Then, and it's not boundaries into straining yourself, it's just like how fluid, how elastic can you get yourself to be without falling off the ball? Push, 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 pull. Because until you test the parameters, sometimes you don't know where your limits are. Pause, go the other way, start small, right? So you're starting small, you're going to start getting bigger, the arms start small, some version between super tight and really big, right? Push, right? Pull, push. So we've talked about in the past the yin and the yang, right? If you've seen Tai Chi done, right, then it just looks like they're doing this with the arms, right? One's going in, one's going out. But essentially what's happening is they're pulling and pushing. And to learn how to create this controlled state where part of you is in push mode and the other part of you is in pulling mode, it's this, it's a harmony, all right? And it's a skill. This is your last one. All right. I will turn to the side for this one. I want you to think hips back, body hinges forward, and then glide the ball towards your legs and roll yourself up, right? So somewhere, if you're really high center on the ball and your legs are starting touching the ball, you're not going to have very far to go. So we need to give ourselves a little bit of freedom here. I'm kind of sitting on the front edge. My ball needs a little bit of air, but this is a 65 centimeter ball, right? Just as a frame of reference, I'm 5'6", 65 centimeters is just about perfect for me. The small ball would just give you a little more pushback. You'd have a longer stretch. So relax the body, let the arms slide wherever your stretch tells you is a good zone for you. And then before you roll up, draw the hips towards your feet, because that actually offloads everything. You get to keep rounding yourself up. This is our seated version of spine articulation, right? So we go from clean S and we just get to round, right? It's our seated version of our ragdoll roll down. If you can keep your toes on the floor and let your hands glide to the tops of the feet, give a little pressure, pull the ball towards the feet, tuck the chin, exaggerate your rounded roll up. And because we're going to do 2 more, sit up clean. If you feel like when you come down into your stretch before you start your roll up, if you feel like you need more support, then you put your hands on your thighs and you let your arms help you get your rounded roll up. But your arms truly are loaded. Clean sit. This is it. Roll forward. You're looking down. Your whole body gets to float down to whatever degree feels good, because at some point it should feel like you're getting a nice little hamstring stretch. Pull the ball towards the legs, tuck the chin, belly to spine, exaggerate your rounded spine, roll yourself up to a nice clean sit. Where could we be going next? Yes, you guessed it. Walk out. If you're like, oh man, I didn't put my mat down and my feet are all slidey, go with it. It's okay. Let them slide. Bridge the hips. I want your arms in a place that they don't feel like they're hindering you, right? So put them across your belly for the first couple. Push back, pull your head off the ball. If your feet don't pull back tightly, then you're probably going to stay in slip and slide mode on the mat, right? Or on the rug. So tuck it back. That's going to really engage hamstring. Use your phenomenal abdominals and sit up. This again doesn't have to be pretty or smooth. Go seat curve spine, another version of our spine articulation. Walk it out, put your head on the ball. Let's go to the point where we actually lower the hips down. That takes you into your first deep knee bend. Lift the hips into bridge. And can I just remind you that we don't just lift the hips into bridge, you pelvic tilt into your lifted bridge. Stay in bridge mode. Let the back of the head lift from the ball as you start your pushback. Abs, 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 chin to chest. Look at your thighs, look at your belly. Pull the leg back firmly. On the next walk back, I want us to intentionally get hung up in that halfway zone just before we get to walk up position where you feel like you're engaged. Ready? Rounded spine, chin to chest. You're looking at your thighs, your abdomen. You're watching your feet go. Right? The chin is still tucked. You're going into your deep knee bend. Now, from your deep knee bend, your head should tilt back into the ball, and then pelvic tilt. Curl the hips from the floor. Right? Reset your neck if you need to. Okay, here we go. You push a couple of inches before your feet step. Your legs and your feet drive you back so that you're lifting your head from the ball with your chin tucked. Pull the feet back, and you'll end up with one leg further back than the other, or one leg further forward, however you want to word it, right? And that is your zone. You're like, my zone for what? To help you with this rock to ab work. And you're like, yeah, but my head and shoulders, like I feel like I need some support. Pick a hand, put it behind your head. You get to keep your chin gently drawn to your chest. The foot that's closest to the ball, I don't have that foot flat. It's the ball of the foot on the floor. And I'm going to rock for 5. Lean back, rock up 4. Say, I'm sneaking some ab work in. 3, I am. Rock back, rock up. 2, rock back, rock up. Now on the rock down, switch arms and switch feet. Ready? Pull your chin towards your chest. What if you just say, oh, I don't want to do anymore, right? And you just give yourself that great push all the way up. You could So I've got one foot forward of the other. My back leg is only heel off the floor. Okay, so I'm using the ball of the foot. Push into the feet and roll yourself up. Tell me that's not phenomenal control right there and activation. This is your last one. Power yourself up to your full sit. Release the hand. So you're done with the ball. Grab a little drink. Maybe you don't need a drink. I do. Do I need a drink? Or do I want to drink? Or do I just know that it's time to drink? Right? Grabbing foam roller. All right. So now that I know that everybody attending has the 3-foot-long foam roller, we're going to use it. Just like we did last week, all right? Putting the foam roller into this angle so the foam roller isn't going to be flat, okay? Flat end. You're actually going to be using the edge of it as a push point. Walk yourself back. Think downward dog. Separate the feet nice and far. If your foam is sliding, right, butt it up against something. There's a happy medium where if your foam is too angled at the too low of an angle, then of course it's going to slide. There is a fine line with this, all right? So remember how when we were seated on the ball, we were using our arms and we were doing our circles? I want you to think the same principles here, right? For the sake of not fighting your foam roller, you're going to manipulate your body in a way that allows you to have a little bit more control. So your foam pushes away from you as your arms are long and then draw it back in. So we're using this accessory. We could just as easily use our ball, right? But the foam has more height to it, which keeps us at a more even plane. So here we go. You're bending the leg and you're leaning the foam towards your bent leg. And then your spine lengthens because your arms take you to tabletop. And then you pull the foam around to the other side, which looks like a lunge. Bend, go around in your circle. Your foam does not have to stay fixed at the end. You can keep figuring out where do you need this accessory so that you don't feel like you're constantly fighting. But I want you to be doing circles in, lengthen, and lower. Pull in, you kind of get to come up a little bit. You can come all the way up and all the way down, right? Push, push, push. Where are you allowing yourself to go and how hard are you working? Is it harder if you come all the way up? I don't know. Does that feel better? Reverse the circle. Lean, pushing the foam, circling around to nice long gliding to the other side. There's your stretch right there. Pull it to you, gliding through the middle. And as I face the front for a second, because the legs are so far apart, right? When you glide to the middle, you should feel like you're getting like this, this adductor. Like maybe it feels like you've got some restriction through the inner thighs a little bit. Push and pull. If you're facing your screen and your head is constantly in the up position, I need for you to look down. Once you figure out what's going on, keep looking down unless you end up all the way back up on the middle rise, right? But as you come through that lengthened arm position, your head should float right between the arms. If your shoulders permit it, this is your last circle around. Release and relax. We are now going 2 different versions of this. We're going to need our mat. You'll need your extra cushion. All right. You'll need your chair handy. So I'm going to set it up so that I can show you how to float from one version into the second version, which is a little bit more intense, I will say. So my chair is going at the end of my mat. My foam roller is going to go in front of my chair. And now here's what you have to decide. Me being on carpet and a mat, I may not need my extra cushion for my knee immediately, but I want it handy because when we go into the next version, you might need it. All right, so you're coming down on your knees. All right, you're going to start by putting one foot over the foam. It's kind of like the ankle, the top of the foot, and then take your other leg, step forward with it. Now, that's the base. From the front view, the reason why I'm showing the front view is because sometimes when I do this with people, I find that their body line is just too tight. So you want your front leg to actually have a little bit of outer step to it. That in and of itself, just you getting into position, if you have any sensitivity in your knee that makes you go, it's a little crabby, you might not even have knee issues, but kneeling may give you the sensation that, it's just unkind. Even with my extra cushion, I'm still going to get a significant amount of stretch because I know what to do with my hips. The version that we're going to go to next, so this is considered your warm up. Okay, so I've taken my leg, we're ready to go. I'm going to keep my pillow under me since I have it. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to think hip circle, which it's not, you have to, it's not a whole body driving like this. It's a little bit smaller, right? And now intentionally, we're going to press forward and then try to do the hip circle. And now that we have a forward push, I want you to hip hinge and do a little circle like that. Okay, so we haven't reversed the circle yet, right? You're going to look down at the floor. You can put your hands on the front thigh. Your spine is maintaining long position. The circle is coming from the hip. You're going to pause and reverse the circle. Circular motion is very therapeutic for the joint, the nerves, like all of this, the ligaments, tendons, everything up in there get really tight, not just muscles. Release and relax. And now phase 2. Close the foot in just a little bit. You're going to push forward. The arm that goes with the front leg, go to the knee. If your front foot is tucked back under you and your knee is jutting beyond the toe, you need to move your foot forward. This knee is going to slide down. Come on now. You're looking at the screen going, really? Can you go to your ankle bone? Pull yourself back up. Take your opposite hand towards the heel of the down foot. Twist your body. If this high arm is getting stuck, guess what you're not doing? One, if you're looking at the screen, it is going to be stuck because your shoulders aren't pulling away from your ears. Start first by gliding your shoulders away from the ears. Look down at the floor. Get the shoulders away from the ear. Turn the head. Reach the arm up. Bring that high arm elbow to the inside of your knee. Glide down. Oh, can you see where we might be going with this? Put that hand on the floor and twist your other arm up to the ceiling. Oh, the arm might not go. Don't worry about that right now. Bring it down. Walk yourself back. That's version 1. Switch the legs. Ready? So you're not tracking close. Track a little wide. Move the foot forward a little bit more than you think it should be. We're going to let the hips go into a slight forward push. And then we're going to start a few circles. You're like, okay, not so bad. Can I have you add one more thing? You're like, only one. Okay. When your hip comes through the glide to a forward position, that's when I want you to squeeze your buns. Oh, and then as it pushes around, you get to relax because you can't push back. And I mean, you can push back and squeeze, but they're kind of conflicting. You want the squeeze to happen when it's in its forward drive. And now we're taking our body, instead of having our shoulders high and our whole body doing this, I want you to stabilize the front leg. We do want to be in what looks like a hip hinge, and you're going to do 3 more circles this way, and then we're going to reverse the circle for 5. As the hip comes through the forward round, try to take your mind to muscle on the rear bun and go squeeze, release. Now pause, reverse the circle, stay in your forward hinge, right? The arms are helping brace, right? We just don't have to have the hips driving the circle where the upper body looks like it's doing it too. Your upper body is pretty still as the hips come through the motion. All right, give me one more. Now pull back, do a little more centering. All right, we are going to push forward. Massive amount of stretch. Take the elbow that goes with the front knee, go elbow to the inside of the knee. Slide. Oh, ready? Just hold there for a second. Wow, it's pretty massive. Now, take your opposite hand, put it on the floor. Free up your body by stopping looking at the screen. Pull your shoulders down. You're going to take your free arm, which was the elbow that was reaching for the floor. You're going to take that arm, twist and look at the ceiling, raise the arm up. You are heavily loaded on your down arm to help you with your thoracic spine rotation. Reach. Take the high arm, put the hand to the shoulder, bring the elbow to the knee, slide the elbow to the heel or the ankle, put the hand on the floor, brace into that leg, shoulders out of the ears, turn your head, raise the arm up. Bring the arm down. Walk yourself back. That was the primer for the next thing. Step up and out of this. You're like, joy, I can't wait to do more. That's what your body says. I just wanted to put words with what your body is saying to you. Joy, we get to do more. So now you definitely will need your extra cushion. You will need your extra cushion for a couple of reasons. I'm going to even bring another cushion into the equation to show you something. Because we're so tight in the quad. Okay. What you just did with the first version was more of the hip flexor opener. What we're getting ready to do now is track a deeper stretch down the quad. All right. So if your front thighs are really, really tight, then you need extra cushion or you need a lower working base. That's the thing. How do you know? Maybe you do a drop the base and you bring your knee base up. You drop the foot base and bring your knee base up. But just like that, if you're really, really, really tender, where when you put your knee down and your foot up, your body looks like this, and you're like, I just can't straighten myself up, then you must take your knee and your cushion and move yourself forward so that only the tiptoes touch on the chair, because the real goal is to get your shoulders in line with your hips. So I'm at this super modified position and I'm more flexible than this would represent, but this is pretty tender. Now, it could be from my workout yesterday, right? I I want you to be in a not so tender sensation because there's so much more we're going to do from here. And if you start out at maximum sensation, then you'll have nowhere to go because your body is fighting the position. All right. So we're going to assume you're ready to go. Again, the same rule applies. If your front foot is tracking in line with the kneeling knee, you will never really feel like you're rooted. So move that front leg a little bit wide so that you can get your hip thrust belly to spine. Nice tight glutes equals a deep stretch quad. Are you ready? You are going to take your trunk and twist yourself towards your front leg. The beauty of having a chair behind you, maybe you can get your hand to it. Can you pull your front knee a little bit towards the middle? You don't have to move the foot, just let the knee come towards the middle and try to twist your rear hip towards the front leg. You're like, that's like corkscrew, right? We're trying to twist and wring the body. Upper body goes one way, right? Lower body comes through the other way. Wow, pelvic tilt. Massive amount of stretch, right? So now free yourself up. Can you put your hand on your hip? How close are you to getting your hand to touch the foot on the chair? It's like, oh, it's right there, right? I don't know. Is it? Could you get it? If you put one hand on the floor, could you get your foot? Can you touch it? Get it. Ruh-roh. Guess what? The chair is always there. And if you find that your chair is creeping away from you, right, just reset yourself, get a little closer to it. This grabbing your foot is the next level. It does not have to be part of your equation. You can leave it on the chair and do exactly what you did a moment ago. But if you can get it, right? The body wants to be opening in that direction, but we're going to twist ourselves towards the front leg. And that means you're going to take your foot and your hip and your knee and you're going to twist, and pelvic tilt. Massive amount of stretch. Now bring yourself to neutral, release, release. We're going to get out of it for a second. Pull that front foot back, put your hand down, use both legs if you need to guide yourself up. Doesn't always have to be pretty. Walk out of it. Here's what I want you to know. When you think about your muscles, right? It's like we know we have muscles in our quad and we know we have muscle in the lower leg. But do you think the muscle just ends and the next one begins? Or do you think that there's some overlap, right? It would be unreasonable to think that you wouldn't have some sensation through the knee, one, because you were on it, and two, because it's in its most extreme amount of compression and flexion in a stretch like that. So when you come out of it, it might feel different than the other one. It just had a significant load on it, and under load, we were then pulling it. Walk it off. Okay. Leg number 2. Now, the funny thing, sorry, my OCD is kicking in. I was with somebody last week and I'd put mats down on the floor. And after like 2 of our movements, not only does my mat move on this floor, but everywhere I go and train, the mats move, right? So after like 2 movements, our mats were like all crooked. And I was trying to rearrange her mat for her without telling her, get off your mat. Anyway, so I finally did say, you're going to have to get off your mat because it's all crooked. And then I said, don't you have OCD? And she laughed and she's like, well, I kind of do. I was like, did the mat not bother you? And she's like, I was trying to tune it out. So anyway, that's a funny thing. Back down. All right, here we go. Find your position. How much cushion do you need? So you see, if on leg number 1, you opted to not have the extra cushion, and yet you were really uncomfortable, but you're like, oh, I can do it. Like, you can do it. But that's the thing, is sometimes we have to learn that scaling back is actually the way to move forward, right? If you always do things at the point where, oh, I can tolerate it, that is not a badge of honor to wear. Scale back, be kind and gentle to yourself. You just holding the stretch while I'm talking should already have you in stretch mode. A little pelvic tilt, you're trying to figure out the angle. Maybe you're not. Can I just tell you, your front foot needs to be a little bit forward so that when we take our hips and pull our hips through and try to get our better stacked line, the stretch is enhanced without strain. Okay, where's your chair? So when I'm on the dock, we've got this dock that has got built-in benches. This is one of the things that I finish with, is I put my hands back, I bow back, I get this whole little series going. But you knowing where your support base is behind you is pretty important. It's right there. It's at fingertips reach, right? So here we go. You're pulling yourself up, zip and tuck. Try to twist your shoulders towards your front knee. If the front knee wants to float out, correct it, pull it in. As you go into your pelvic tilt, do it with the intention of trying to twist your hips towards the front leg. Draw it down. Wow. Now, release, relax. Look back over the shoulder that goes with the rear foot. Maybe just looking back throws you out of balance. I always find it really interesting, right? That it's easier to find my leg if I look for it versus just putting my arm back there going, where's the base? All right. So look at your foot. How close can you get your hand to touching the foot? Maybe you can get your hand to the foot, but you can't actually pull the foot from the chair. That's okay. If your hand touches your foot, that's a good starting point, right? So for a few seconds, hand to foot, zip and tuck, try to twist your upper body towards that front leg. If you're going to go further, grab the foot, reestablish your control, because here's where, when you grab the foot and pull the foot from the chair, that might be the tipping point of the stretch being too much for you. Figure it out, right? Zip and tuck, shoulders down, belly to spine. You're going to twist your body towards your front leg, which means you're kind of taking your lower leg and you're twisting it. This is another reason why the cushion has to be significant. Realign, set the foot down. How are you going to get off of that? Hands to the floor. Woo, bring the rear foot from the chair, push it into the floor, help yourself up, walk it out. All right. Move your chair. Actually, we're going to do one more thing with the chair. It's going to seem, the chair, it could be the chair, it could be the wall, right? The chair, since the chair is not a fixed object, not only is it not a fixed object, it's not a huge support, but for this little thing that we're going to do, as information comes down the pipeline about our truly caring for our joints and the mobility of the joints, things that are being done today with the joint, back in the day, 20, 25 years ago, right, used to be considered contraindicated. It's amazing. And so part of it is, how much do I buy into as a trainer, right? And then try to, the word that came to mind is coerce, you all, that these are good things for your body. If you have your Eric's pad or your extra cushion, put it down. There is this, it's called knees over toes. Now, I just did it. So back in the day, when we did squats and leg presses and lunges, you know, it was never supposed to be, don't let your front knee go over your toe. And then, guess what? There are no bad movements except movements that your body hasn't been conditioned in. So let's think about this for a second. Your heels are elevated, toes are down. I want you, with your chair, you're going to allow your knees to push forward, and you're trying to bow your body back. At some point, like, you can't keep going back without you pelvic tilting. Okay, so you ready? You got your support base, toes are on the floor, heels are elevated. Your hips start pushing forward, the legs soften, the knees drive forward, squeeze your buns, and descend and come back up. It's awkward and you're only going to get so far, because at the point where your body stops, come back up. That's when we're going to lift our heels from the cushion. All right, so you're going, okay, toes down, bend the legs, let the hips push forward. Your hands are on your chair to give you a little bit of support. Now, somehow you're bowed back, your buns are tight. Lift the heels. Ooh, come back up, put the heels down. Ready? The trick is, how do you keep your active glutes so that when you're bowed back and your heels lift from the pad, that you're protected? If the scary alarm bell goes off about compression in your low back, you pause and you squeeze everything you can. You've got the chair. Ready? Here we go. Start drawing the belly in, shoulders are down, the body's bowing back. Maybe you only get here and the buns are tight, and then you lift the heels, right? Test yourself. Where do you get to? One more. This is the beginning phase of something, okay? Lift. Or because I don't normally do this with the cushion, I wanted to give you a cushion just for you to feel yourself kind of go into this slink mode, because believe it or not, your calf and your that front aspect of the ankle's mobility has to be pretty good in order for you to lift your heels. So this is the last one. Here we go, focused. Let the hips push forward. Let your body start bowing back. You've already got your shoulders down. The belly is to spine. You're slinking down as low as you can go. And then you lift your heels, right? And release. That's the great thing about your chair. You're done. Again, another position that should make you go, oh, man, that, like, it's awkward. It's challenging. You might need your cushion for your head. We're going to take ourselves to our mat. We definitely need the stretch out strap. But if you have your really thick power band, right, purple, the purple one is just an easier one to use than the green one. You do not have to have the elastic one, but the elastic one is going to help us get some hamstring activation. Okay, so my Eric's pad is for my head support, right? When we do our little bridge, we'll get out of it. When we do our little bridge, what I meant to say, when we do our little bridge, we won't have the pillow under our head. All right, so here we go. 1 foot. Get your cushion set just right. The other leg. Can you get it flat? This might be the leg that you have to change, right, in order to get the most effective stretch. We're going to run through the test. Okay, your hands are holding the strap in a way that allows you to slide your elbows down towards your ribs. Get your upper middle back, your wings tucked, and then look at your foot. Oh, look at the angle. Before we ever even do anything, the leg is up, it's banded, you're hopefully as straight as you can get, and you're looking at what angle is your foot taking. I want you to correct the ankle so that the pinky edge side of your foot is more flush to the floor, to the ceiling. All right, which may take you a couple of seconds of wiggling the ankle around to figure out how do you actually get that side of your foot to cooperate. Because guess what happens? As soon as you get that thing to do the right stretch, you will feel the stretch all the way through the lateral aspect of your hamstring and down that calf. So here we go. Shoulders are pulled back, wings are tucked, chin is long, your leg is as straight as you can get it. And as soon as you start pushing the leg down, squeeze your buns. The leg comes down. You're like, yay, I got to the floor. That's not where the movement stops. Lengthen the leg like someone's pulling your leg and making it longer than the other one. And then up slide. Watch the leg come up. Is your foot turned out? Mine sure was. Realign it. Up it goes. Oh, push down, pressing, squeezing the buns, let it strike the floor, and then glide. Up it goes. Correct the ankle, push down, squeeze the buns, glide. That's 3 of 5. Up, down, lengthen, lift, down, lengthen. And now pause. Soften the arms. You're going to let I've got my right leg up, so I'm taking my left hand up to the strap. All right, shoulder gets out of the ear. I slide my hand down the strap a little bit so my elbows relax because I'm going to pull my leg across me. Ha ha, ho ho, he he. Now, intentionally soften both knees just enough to help you rotate. Snap, crackle, pop is just what happened to me. I'm going to bend my leg even more, so I'm offloading the stress. Roll the hips back to center, up with the leg, soften the elbow and shoulder, glide into the stretch. Oh, so if you hit a point that feels like it's a sticking point, the stretch is so intense, you don't fight it. You soften the knee to allow the body to have a little bit more rotation. All right. Bend the leg even more. Come back to the center. So try it again. That's 2 of 5. The leg is up, shoulders out of the ear. Start pulling it across. You might not have to make any changes. But if I was with you, I'd say, okay, look at your foot. If your foot is the pinky edge side of the foot rolling away from you, that is your body trying to compensate. You want to articulate the foot so that the arch, the instep is the driver for the foot. Big difference. Soften the knee, bring it up. You're like, why does the leg just go into that rolled ankle position, right? Isn't it funny?
Your ankle would never be in that position if you were standing on your foot, right? It would never do that. But somehow when we're trying to get the stretch, it goes to that position because it's the path of least resistance. So hold the leg there, even if your leg isn't straight. I want you to flex your foot and I want you to drive the arch away from you. Oh, release. Last one. Bring it up. Look at the foot. Figure out how do you manipulate your foot against your strap so that, and even if you don't have a stretch strap, if you're using your yoga strap, it's the same principle. Guide the part of your foot, which is the instep of your arch, to be the pusher. Oh. Release and relax. Leg number 2. As we go into leg number 2, just get those hips repositioned. You may have to do a little bridge to feel like everything is centered back up. When you take the leg down, right? If your second leg is flat, except it's not really flat, say you're getting ready to start your movement, okay? You've got your elbows where they need to be. The high leg is high, but the bottom leg is bowed off the floor. You are the candidate for bending that leg so that you can control the lifted leg, right? The leg that's working, that is your primary focus, right? Shoulders out of the ears. Lengthen the leg. As soon as the leg starts its down position, you're going to fire up your buns. You're going to let the leg fully connect with the floor. And then you're going to slide your leg longer. Up it goes, down it goes, glide. Up it goes, down, glide. Check out the ankle and the foot. Remember, if the foot's rolling, which way do you need to roll your arch so that your foot is as flush to the ceiling as you can get it? If you don't need the other leg bent, then get 2 straight legs on the down, squeeze the buns, lengthen the strapped leg. Do one more. Push, squeeze, lift, pause. All right, opposite hand to the stretch leg. Look at what the foot does naturally. What does the leg do naturally? It doesn't have to be straight for you to get your stretch, all right? But what does need to happen is that the ankle needs to do the right thing. So here we go. Glide it over, elbow and shoulder relax. Look at your foot. Push the arch away from you. Bend the leg. 1, up, roll. Look at your foot. Bend both legs. So I can keep both of my limbs stiff as boards. You might have to keep both of your legs a little bit soft at the knee in order to get a fuller hip rotation. Sometimes when I watch people do this, they stop at this like 2/3 of a way stretch with their leg really high going, oh, it's just way too much stretch. Bend that leg so that you can roll to the side. Now, if it's not the leg that's the problem, but it's the hip bursa, that's a whole different thing, okay? So if you have pain as you roll to your side, and it's the side of the hip that you're resting on, that's the pain, that's different. And I can't help you out there except to say, put an extra cushion under you. But for today's purposes, we're almost done. You've got one more. Take it up, inhale, pull it across, look at the ankle, push with the instep of the arch, release and relax. And now, no strap. Take your time, roll yourself over, but get there. I did say we were going to bridge, but we're not. We're going to do cobra, and we're going to let our cobra position, cobra into child's pose. Okay, so modified cobra. Push the elbows into the floor, shimmy the hips, get everything nice and long. Shoulders are out of the ears. And now, work your elbows in nice and tight to each other. Start bearing down into the elbows to help you get your hips from the floor.
and then back, back, back the elbows up. Take your feet, flex the feet. Look, if you're looking through your legs, look at the angle that your heels are doing. And I want you to align them so that they're vertical. And then your elbows are going to push your hips back. And then you're going to bring yourself to your hands. And then you're going to walk your hands back. You might not be able to handle this amount of knee flexion, but you don't have to sit back into a low sit to get your toes stretched. So you just push your hips back to whatever degree your knees permit. You're trying to not have the heels float out from each other. So maybe your hands have to figure out, how do you help your big toes stretch? You're like, but I thought you said we were going to child's pose. We are in stages. Flatten out the feet. Settle into it. So again, if the pushback is too much, then your trusty little pillow goes right behind your hips and you brace. And then you can get your arms lengthened. I like to rock from side to side for this alignment thing. Don't get comfortable. Raise the hips, take your pillow. You're like, but I don't have my pillow. Then if you don't have a pillow, don't worry about it. But if you have your pillow, put it down. You're doing your next level of modified cobra. So rocking the hips, you could also use your foam roller, but your foam roller is a little bit less forgiving and a much greater dimension, right? So if you're on your foam roller, everything is pulled into you nice and tight because you want your elbows pretty much under the shoulders, shoulders out of the ears, squeeze your buns. You're like, just propping yourself up on your pillow gives you a much deeper stretch. Ready? Move the elbows to center because you want the support to push your hips from the floor. Walk your elbows back. Your first repetition already told you if you need to bring the pillow back behind you because you're going to take your feet, hard flex the feet. You're looking at your toes. You're looking at the angle that your ankle and heel may be going. And you're going to try to push yourself back without the heels floating apart from each other. If you can get yourself up and bowed back, even better. Release the feet. Your version of child's pose. So, true child's pose is forehead on the floor and the arms palms up with the shoulders and elbows relaxed. So if that's where your body tells you to go, then go there. If you don't want the arms back, then your arms are reaching forward. But I will say this, if your arms are reaching forward, which this is my favorite, arms in forward reach, the hands are as wide as the mat is wide and your head is not resting on the floor. You're just in hover mode, right? The beauty, this is our last couple seconds here. If you are in forward reaching arms, it's important that you do this. You use the heels of your hands to push you back. That's the resting position for this stretch. Child's pose, true child's pose is an absolute rest mode, but here, this is not a rest mode. This is a push mode. Walk the hands back, get your hands under you. I want you to move your cushion. Think downward dog to get out of it. Stub your toes. Push your knees from the floor. Drive your heels to the floor. Can you walk the dog for a couple of seconds? All you got to do is shimmy the feet a little bit closer together and alternate the heel push.
Massive amount of stretch. And now walk the dog so that the feet end up far apart from each other. Bend the legs, walk the hands back to your feet. Do not roll up until you feel your body weight settle in the flat foot position. Hands to thighs, rounded spine up. Coming up and down, right? Can leave you a little bit flushed. Inhale up. Release and relax. Namaste.